right. Hello, hello. Welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. Today, we have a very special guest, Mielle Fox, and she is a multifaceted expression of her soul. And I'm really excited for this conversation. She has worked in healthcare for over 30 years and now offers additional support through aligned wellness mentoring as an energetics awareness navigator, a certified EFT practitioner, and an advanced numerologist. She has created a podcast called Energy of the Untamed Heart, where she explores what hinders us as humans from really hearing the whispers of our wild heart, as well as how we can use the language of love and energy to walk our way home to who we are at our deepest essence. She is an avid equestrian and shares her love of horses to help teach the interconnectedness of our heart resonance to others. So welcome so much, Mielle. So happy to have you.
Oh my gosh, T, like you make me sound so fluffy. I'm like, oh gosh, I sound me so fluffy. Well, hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Love
You're
it.
so welcome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So first thing that popped up as I'm going through your bio is I want to know, because I don't talk a whole lot about numerology over here, even though I use it a little bit in my own personal life. So can you explain numerology to those who might not understand it, or it might be new to them?
Sure. So basically, numerology, we'll back up because I know you've said this on your previous podcast. Everything is energy. 99.999% of everything is energy. And energy is truly our language with the 5D. It is energy, but we don't necessarily have that in one form. Not everybody speaks the same dialect or language. And so there's lots of ways to hear and receive what's important for you. And one of the things that I happen to really be geeky about is how the energy is spoken through the language of numbers. So all of our numbers contain and hold a particular vibrational frequency or range, actually, from you pick it low to high, 0 to 10, however you want to describe it. But what numerology does is it describes the capacity and potential for how you can use the energy to co-create whatever you want in your life. So that's the nutshell. It's the science of transformation through the energetics of numbers.
Ooh, I love that. I've never even heard
Doesn't that sound fancy?
Like the exact verbiage. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's amazing. I'm like thinking, because, as like the woo-woo friend, if you will, people come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I keep seeing like 444 or 111. Right. What does that mean? And I'm like, I don't know. Look it up.
Yeah. Look it up. So here's the thing is, sure, you can Google anything. We all know this. The Google is wonderful. Before the Google, I know what I did because I got years on me. But when I see our current generation, they're like, I wouldn't even know what to do without my Google. Like, Google is my best friend. Oh. So you can certainly look everything up, but the essence of really understanding numerology is to really learn how to feel into what it's saying to you. And those things, those synchronicities that we call them, the 111, the 444, the feathers in the road, the whatever you want to call those are all what I like to call the winks from the universe. Those are not coincidental events. That is just another like knock on your door, like, oh, hey, just want to let you know we're hanging out here supporting you today. Oh, hey, in case you thought you were alone in the car. Oh, hey. And that's what all that is. They're like little winks, like, got you. Yeah.
Ooh,
it's amazing.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because I was just thinking, like, I was in another community and someone was talking about, well, I keep seeing these numbers. And I was like, well, what does it mean to you? So I like that you mentioned, it depends on like where are you at, right? So I have one friend who will see like this range of numbers, and it happens to be like her like uncle's phone number, right? And it's like
Right.
she's like, whenever I see it, I know he's talking to me, right? But that
Correct.
sync
Yeah.
that line of
It's like a
numbers can mean
synchronicity.
some
Yeah,
different for somebody else, which I think is
it
really, really
does.
cool.
Yes. And so that's the beauty of seeing numbers mainstream in the collective, is meaning like, how can we all kind of have a little basic understanding, like, what is this about? So it's not like it must mean this and it must mean that. And the reason there isn't a clear, it only means one way or one thing, is because as souls living in human bodies, which we all are, we have the advantage of what's called free will and choice. And
Mhm.
so we project our lives through our own filter. Your filter is different than my filter. You and I can be sitting on a park bench, the same park, the same bench, but what your interpretation of what you see in front of you will not be exactly what I see in front of me. And that's through our personal filter. And it's the same thing with, how does one choose to lean into whatever given energy is there? It's a free will and choice of, do I see it, choose it, want it, or I'm living with my head in the sand and I know hear nothing, no see nothing, no say nothing. That's it isn't any guarantee. It's there. And the numerology is basically a tool, just like other modalities, whether it's like astrology or other forms of coding, or you pick it, there's tons of them, music, everything holds an energetic expression, and how it comes through is variable, and how each person is able to hear it is dependent on how open and receptive they choose to be to hearing it. So for some people, it shows up like recurring numbers. And for other people, it shows up, I was driving down the road and I heard, the same song when my baby was born, or whatever. There, it's just expressions of energy through different modalities, basically.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. It brings to light, because I've been having conversations with people about this language, right? And so it's just
Mm,
another way that we can communicate. And as humans, we all have different experiences. So how we receive that information can be completely different. Like someone can say blue, but as a collective, we've decided that this is what blue looks like. But if someone doesn't know what blue is, or maybe they're colorblind, they don't have the same expression of what
yes.
blue means. So we all get to
Sure.
decide for ourselves, how we're going to receive something, and are we going to be open to it? Is it going to make us happy? Is it going to make us joyous? Or is it going to make us sad? Is it going to make us fearful? We get to choose that energetic
You
vibration with
choose
it.
that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And your example of what is blue. So, it's funny when you say, so what is blue? And I think to myself, well, someone who doesn't have the capacity to discern colors, blue means nothing. Blue is just some word, letters strung together. But
Mhm.
for someone who can see blue, then they up it a notch. Well, would that be sky blue? Would that be pale blue? Would that be a deep blue? And the next piece is that so our soul is our soul. Yes. I
Yes.
mean, everybody is on the same page here. Yeah. Our human, however, has 5+ ish senses, the basics,
Mhm.
sight, hearing, and assuming you don't have any, things that have occurred that you do not have this particular intake modality in your humanness. But most of us see, hear, touch, feel, taste. Yes.
Yes.
We also, because we're complex and we're not just one thing and it's all very separate, everything's very much intertwined, we also have the capacity to connect emotions, memories, events, experiences from our gigantic database
Mhm.
with something like blue. So I may say to you, what do you think about blue? And your response to me may be, depending on what your background is, your history is, your experiential database is, you may say to me, oh, blue just makes me want to cry all the time. And it doesn't matter. I see blue and I want to bawl. And somebody else may say, oh my gosh, blue is just so amazing and expansive. And, it just makes me want to sing with joy when I see it. So it's really interesting. It's not like, oh, here's the thing and that's the only thing it is. it's so interwoven energetically within our existence here on Earth as a human doing Earth school that it's phenomenal how much we're pretty well designed. We can take things in so many different ways. So when you say, so what's the numerology about? It is just one way. It's not the only way, but it is a complementary way to all the other things that you absorb into your field of understanding energy. Yeah. And it's so variable person to person. It's pretty geeky and it's pretty fun.
I love it. I love it. And I'm noticing myself say it more and more often. Like as I've gotten more comfortable and who I am and my expression, I say stuff like, well, my human's this, but like my spirit, like I know this.
Yes.
But my human's having a moment right now.
Yes, because that's a true statement. That is an absolutely 100, and I don't mean a woo-woo true statement. I mean, this is a scientifically researched and proven statement. Your components of your being, let's just back it up. We know it's energy. Yeah. I mean, everyone's on the same page. It's energy, but it's not just energy like your now energy. It's energy both from before you, now, your environment. I mean, it's all, think of like the ocean is not just one wave in and out, right? So there's like lots of waves and there's lots of overlapping waves, and maybe one's coming in and one's going out and one's big and one's small and all the things. Well, that's how we are. We are this shell, this meat body that's hanging on to this amazing energetic expression that is stored within our meat body, and it's stored in our cells, and our cells are all collected to make organs, and our organs are connected and collected to make all the other things that it needs to support. And then we have this highway system in our body that is absolutely influenced by energy, your memories, your emotional state, all the things that you take in through your senses. And then it goes through different windows of regulation, dysregulation. And all of that is driven biochemically, which is what? Energy. So to put it really super simple, like the whole message is energy, really. I mean, that's really the simple statement. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And so with that, I want to know a little bit more about like your background. So going from like health and the healthcare world to this energetic world and how they intertwine.
Yeah. So I'm a really geeky kind of kid. I was the kid like, why? Well, why is that? Well, how does that work? Well, how come? I mean, very nosy, very curious, very engaged, very analytical. I'm also really mathy. Like I really love numbers, and I like to look for patterns. I would like find patterns. I would go out and, play in the yard or in the woods. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, look how many, there's so many sides to this. And it looks like that. And well, there must be a reason for that. And so that's how my brain kind of works that way. How did it sort of get to the spiritual thing? So my birth genetic, my human genetic background is my mother comes from Scotland, and there's a very strong belief in that country about things that are above and beyond the earth realm. They believe in, the gnomes and the fairies and the dragons and the unicorns and all the things. And my mother, when I was a child, she would just like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
She'd like know shit. Like she'd just know shit, right? And you'd be like, how's she know that, right? And you'd have to kind of like walk carefully because all of a sudden she'd like know stuff. And you're like, how does that even happen? Well, it turns out the reason it happens, we can all have that, quite frankly. And it's because she had a very clear channel to her intuition. Like she just knew things, that the channel wasn't clogged and blocked. She would receive information. She didn't know this. I mean, she didn't call it that. She had a different phrase for it. But now in my generation, now having done a whole lot of studying and learning and experiencing, I'm like, oh, that's what that was, right? So we all have it. It's just a matter of how available are we to receive. And if we can open ourselves up and move some of our junk out of the way, then we're really wide open to receive information. So what really sort of started me going from, so what I do in my day job is my job. It's my career. It's what I was educated to do. When I was a kid, my folks didn't have a lot. We really didn't have a lot. And in my mind, my way out was education. Get educated, get a career, get a job, and, life will be bliss. Do the thing, earn the paycheck, work hard for 40 years, and you'll be happy. Well, guess what? Happy don't sit on a shelf labeled H. I'm sorry. Found that out the hard way, right? So I did all the things. I went to school and I studied and I worked hard and I got a good job and I moved, umpteen times. And on the outside, it looked really pretty. And on the inside was this tortured little kid that was like, I'm so unhappy. I feel so not okay. And that seemed really like a very bizarre thing to me. Like, how can you be one thing and yet be another? So there's some disconnect here. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to call it. I didn't know anything like what I know now. So I started, like many people, the self-help books and reading the things and watching the whatever, all the things, and trying all the non-traditional modalities for treatments and therapies and, dabble here, dabble there. Nothing. Still wasn't like, I still didn't feel this really good sense of groundedness and who am I and what am I, and, liking myself and feeling worthy of things just because I am who I am, not because of what I do in my day job. So this kind of went on for, dare I say, decades. And every now and then I'd have like some big 2x4 moment, something would occur and it would sort of snap me into, realizing like, wow, this isn't all there is. There's more to this. There's something else. So probably my big push from just being casual and dabbly and then really getting my head out of my butt, so to speak, and really realizing like, wow, there's more going on. Probably I'm going to say occurred in the mid 2000s, the teens, and really escalated or crescendoed, if you want to call it that, in 2020 when my brother took ill and died very quickly, very suddenly, like within a week in the ICU. And that was like a huge wake-up call. That was like a lot of wake-up call. Like, this is it, man. Here's your ride. Do the ride, because you don't know when your ride, when your ticket's up and you're getting booted, see you later. So that was a big wake-up call. There was a big wake-up call, like, you can't rely on somebody else to be your light, be your own light, shine your light. You can't rely on everything around you to create or bring the comfort, the peace, the joy, the happiness within yourself. Like all of those, the lessons that we all talk about and we all are learning in our own way and at our own speed and doing our own thing, hopefully, also brought me to the realization, and I was not a very religious child, so we won't go down that path, but brought me to the realization that it isn't really about whatever entity name you want to apply to it, but there is something so much more than just us. There is something so much bigger than just Earth. There's just so much. I mean, if we think we're all there is, I'm like, whoa, design flaw, that would be a problem. Like, let's go back to square one, please. Right? So there's just so much more. And that is pretty much sort of where I'm at. I understand I'm here on Earth. I get that. And I understand I'm a human. It's not like I, eat weirdo food in the closet at night because I think I'm an alien, nothing like that. But I really, truly, truly believe that we are all, my phrase for it is, we are all sparks of divine love from the universe. We all come from that place. When we leave Earth, we will all go to whatever that is. It started out that way, and here we are hanging out in the playground of Earth for a while, doing the thing, learning all the stuff, and then we get to go from whence we came, because truthfully, we're all connected. We're all one, because that's what we came from. We're from the divine, we'll go to the divine. Whatever you call the divine, whether you want to call it, God, Buddha, Gaia, universe, spirit, whatever. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. So while I'm here, I'm making my own happy. I'm not looking for it on the shelf. I'm making it because I'm the only one who can make it, right?
Right.
Nobody can make it for me. You can party with your friends, right? And enjoy it all together. but your own unique version of what fulfills you, what brings you joy, what brings peace into your heart, that's very individual and very unique. And nobody can curate that for you. So, yeah. Took a
Mic
long
drop.
time to figure that out, right? A long time. I mean, it is a windy road, man. There's no straight, direct line to this baby.
So true. So true. Like I was hearing you talk about your doing what I call like doing the right thing, right? You go to school, you get an education, you get a job, all the things. And I'm like thinking about it in my life, you know, experiencing or okay, well, you know, I would go back and forth, right? As a like an actor and like loving the arts and doing these things. And I would always find that like the thing that I really loved to do wasn't bringing me the money or the what I thought was the safety that I needed. I had this idea that this is what I need in order to be safe. And I need to have like, you know, I'm supposed to have this much money in my bank account. Otherwise, the world's gonna end for me and I'm gonna die. I don't like I feel like on some like lower level that was based like the base level that was my
Because
thought
that's
process.
what we're told.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're told. That's what we're taught. Go out, do the thing. And if you don't have this and it doesn't look like that, then you're not enough. You're not worthy. You'll be judged. It's not okay. We've been taught this and told this over and over and over. Why do you believe it? Because that's what you were taught until you unbelieve it, right? Like it's only true until it isn't. So when you have these thoughts that come through you like, oh, well, I don't know, whatever somebody tells you, like, oh, you know, I don't know, okra tastes great if you put it in the microwave. You have to go, is that true? Right? Like everything that becomes like some belief system that you kind of get this like knot that says, what? What? That it's that thing that makes you go, is this all there is? Is this really the design? At that way, if you get that little question coming through, that is your inner voice, your higher self questioning the programming, the upbringing, the stories, the patterns, which those are in place for a reason. You know, people like to say, I'm a mess because my parents wrecked me. I'm a mess because blah, 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 blah. All right, stop. Just freaking stop. Because from 0 to 8, maybe you don't have a lot of options. But really, from henceforth after that, you have the capacity for your consciousness to intervene and have a conversation with your ego head and say, is that true for me in this moment? Do I need to continue to hold that belief and thought? And you have the ability, the capacity to say yes or no. You choose it. You know, and I think when we talk about safety, I think when people really pare down, and it is not necessarily always a pretty reflection in the mirror, but when you really pare down, what's your gig? What's your fear? What's your hang up? What's your thing that I have to go to school, I got to make the money, I got to drive the car, I got to live in this state, I got to look like this, I got to say like that, whatever the thing is. What is that really all about? And you hit the nail on the head. It's about safety. It's about, I do not feel safe in my body. I do not feel safe in the deepest place of me that I need to feel safe in, because why? That power has been given to everything else and everyone else. It's been given to money. It's been given to the job. It's been given to the neighbors. It's been given to, you know, I need to people please and take care of XYZ and leave nothing left for myself and all the things. And when we get down to the root of it and we understand and learn and own how to be self-responsible for our own personal safety, and I don't mean like crossing the street, I mean like that sense of I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be okay. And I can build as much okayness as I want or not. When we can really get that, and it's hard sometimes, then the capacity to be as abundant as you desire is limitless. But you gotta to get there. Right? And think about, okay, so let's say you have a checking account. I had this conversation earlier today with somebody. I think this is a pretty good analogy for your viewers and listeners. So let's say you've got a checking account and you pay your bills and you keep writing checks, except that you don't keep depositing into the account. Like you don't put any money in there. You just pulling out and pulling out and pulling out and pulling out. Well, sooner or later, not only does the checkbook get empty and you can't write checks, but if you continue to write checks, now you're writing on the negative. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? Your check can't be cashed and you get spanked for being naughty and giving somebody a rubber check.
Yeah.
Correct? Now, if you can put regular deposits into your checking account, then you have reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So in life, we have the checking account of abundance. For every time that you do your own self first, not selfish, and deal with what do I need to take care of? How can I make myself fulfilled? How can I own my sovereignty? How can I show up in the world and do what I know I'm here to do, which is be you? That's your purpose in the world, is to be you. Then every time that occurs, you're putting deposits in your account of abundance. So now it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. So every time you want to do something for somebody and ripple it out, you're doing it from a place of a full cup or a full checking account, as opposed to I'm writing rubber checks because I'm so depleted, I'm so burnt, I can't stand it.
Right.
Right. And it has nothing to do with your education, and it has nothing to do with the degrees behind your name, and it has nothing to do with the car you drive. It has nothing to do with anything. Why? Because we're a soul in a human body, period.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's any better than anybody else. Nobody's any more than anybody else. We just have a different package.
Yeah.
But that's it. Everything else is your birthright, is your capacity to take it and run with it and enjoy it, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the amplification, the expansion, the joy, all of it. All of it. The abundance, everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
If only the world just like chased the joy, how different would it be?
How different would it be, right?
Yes.
It would be phenomenal. But, people say, well, how come if it's so easy, nobody does it? Well, why? Ask yourself that question. Why is that?
It's like, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, I have all of this baggage. You mean I have to like put down this baggage and I don't get to validate all of the problems that I've created for myself? And so
if you want to, you do you, boo. Right? I mean, so I think about it like, oh, if I said, hey, T, let's go on this trip, because I know you like to travel.
Yeah.
If I said, come on this trip, but guess what? You can't take your 30 plus years of baggage with you. There's not enough room for all that. You can bring you, but you can't bring all those extra Samsonite with you. You're going to go, whoo, it was getting heavy to carry around anyway. I'm so glad you gave me the permission to set that down. Well, that's what it is. When you choose to not carry all the stuff that you've been carrying your whole life and set it down. It doesn't mean forget it, burn it, none of that. This isn't about fighting anything. This is about choosing. It's about, I can set this down and I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to like disintegrate in a puddle because I chose not to carry this baggage anymore. And the truth is, all of our baggage, if you want to call it that, I mean, baggage implies it's horrible. But think about this. Why do we respond the way we were taught to respond as kids? And the answer is because that's our survival mode. That's how humans are built. We are built to take on survival. That's why our nervous system is set up in two different ways. That's why we're not a sloth or an earthworm. We're a human, because we have the capacity of our nervous system to save our ass when something bad happens, right? That's when you're like, whoa, got to get out of here, run, right? And then we have the other side of our nervous system, which is our beautiful creative side that is open and receiving and able to do all the things. And we're built that way on purpose, because we need to have tools to withstand Earth School, right? Our soul requires that to be on the planet and do the thing. And so we're given the tools to navigate the journey. The difficulty is that sometimes we got a little bit muddled in the journey, and we let a lot of the programming stuff that was in there initially to keep us alive and survive, and we let it dictate everything. And it becomes a pattern, it becomes a habit, it becomes routine. I mean, to put it in simple sciencey geeky terms, it's the inability to have neuroplasticity or I don't want to say divergency, but the ability to go with the flow and make changes. That's what neuroplasticity is. It's the ability of your brain cells to come together in a different way to create a new pattern. Well, like anything else, it doesn't happen once. Like people who want to get fit, people who want to run marathons, people who want to lose weight, people who want to gain weight, whatever. It doesn't happen in a day. You have to make a pattern and then consistently use that pattern in order for it to become a more habitual event. It is no different with our awareness and our consciousness. If we don't practice it, we don't use it. That's why there are people walking around like, numb and dumb all day long, because they don't use it. They don't know of it. It's not that they're not clever, it's that they don't know of it. And once you know it, you can't unknow it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, prime example, T, when people go, well, I can't pick it. I can't, That phrase alone of I can't means you know damn well you could, but you're choosing you can't. Because the contraction word can't by itself already means you have to have two opposing things, which means you have the awareness of two opposing things, which means you have the choice to choose A or B. So when people use the excuse like, well, I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. Back the bus up. You sure could if you wanted. Yeah, you could.
You're choosing not to.
Choosing not to. And it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to. I mean, there's no right and wrong to it. I think if somebody said, what is the biggest thing you would suggest to someone to start to make a shift or change in their journey or their path? My answer would be start to learn the lesson of unconditionality and no judgment for yourself. I mean, really.
Oh, yeah.
That would be it.
That's
because
it.
when you can let go of the judgment piece, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? I was such a bad girl. I did this thing. I thought like that. I said this, whatever. If you can not hold judgment to that and just see it and say, it's okay. I love you anyway. It's all good. We're good. Then there's no power to that thing that's been held over you so long, or you've held over yourself. When you don't feed it and feed into it, it doesn't hold power over you anymore. So you don't have to beat the crap out of it. You just have to show it a little kindness and say, thank you, but I got this. Thanks. See ya. Bye, Felicia. Right?
Exactly. Give yourself space to play. Like that's really all you need to do.
Space to play, right?
That's what we're here for.
That is, you said it. That is what we're here for. We are here to play and enjoy the moments. And it cracks me up because, you hear people like, oh, I'm so ascended and I'm so elevated. And I'm like, honey, the day you become so ascended and so elevated is your last day on Earth School here. You're off the planet. So unless you're itching to get off the planet, slow down and enjoy the ride and do the stuff in the moment. Because everybody's exiting the planet at some point.
Oh, yeah.
You might as well enjoy the ride.
Exactly. Yes. We're here in these like fleshy meat sacks.
This is it. The fleshy meat sack, man. Enjoy it.
Right? Experience the world, experience the physical form. I know like sometimes I'll get into the space of like, okay, well, let me be woo. And I'm like, well, like, let me like be in the quantum and the this. And I'm like, that's great. And that's a great place to learn and expand. But like, I'm here to live. Right. So like, I can't just sit in meditation.
You're a human.
I'm human.
Right.
I'm really human.
You're human for a reason because you're here to do human stuff.
Yeah.
And you're going to have plenty of whatever we call time when you're no longer in your human fleshy suit. So I'm not saying don't meditate, but I'm just saying, locking yourself up like a monk isn't really, to me, the best way to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Live the
that's not the
moments, do
journey
the
I want to be
thing.
on.
Right? I mean, sure, I want to be a little more grounded. Sure, I want to hear my messages more clearly. Sure, I want to have like amazing downloads and be like uber creative, but I can't force it. Like, you can't bend a spoon. So, what can you do? You can be open, spacious, and a receiver. Right?
Yeah.
Do what you can do.
Do what you can do. You can play.
Yeah. You can play. Who doesn't love to play? It's a 4-letter word.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, this has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Mielle. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we hop off?
Just be you, boo. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Don't worry so much. Right? Just do the thing. I'm not saying life isn't hard. It is, but choose your heart.
Ooh, perfect. Choose your heart. Just for today. I will not worry.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Right.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you
for having me.
This has been amazing.
Oh my gosh. So fun.
I love it. If anyone would like to connect with Mielle, all you have to do is check out the show notes. All the links are going to be there for you to connect on Facebook, Instagram, website, podcast. So much goodness out there for you. So tap into whatever you choose to brighten you up and lighten your life. With that, I'm going to say ta-ta for now. I invite you to check out the home membership community if you have not already over on Facebook. You can access that through my website, www.MamaTEnergy.com. Bye.